This episode is brought to you by Skale, the next evolution in layer 1 blockchains. Explore the gas-free ecosystem at scale.space/ecosystem and follow their journey on X at Skale Network. Thanks to Skale for making today's episode possible. All right, everyone, welcome back. Happy Friday, happy Saturday. Santi, what's happening?
What's going on, man?
Going.
We coming out of DAS. We're not sick, as far as I know. Knock on wood.
I'm sick as a dog right now.
Oh God,
I'm sick.
is this a constant thing?
Look at this. I got this stuff. I got this stuff. I am loaded up on so many espressos and drugs right now.
Geez, you mean like homeopathic remedies from Whole Foods?
Vitamins. Vitamin C only.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So you spoke too soon. I am sick as a dog. I actually didn't get sick at DAS though. Blockworks
It's always after.
Blockworks conferences, you don't get sick at our events. Yeah, we don't let people get sick at them.
Right. Institutional crowd just does not get sick.
No, really never. We would never allow that to happen. That's more of an ETH Denver phenomenon.
Right. It was. Should we do? I mean, there's a lot to talk about. Should we do?
So you missed. So Mike and I did this DAS recap, but I will. I mean, there's a lot of news this week. Like, there's. I want to talk about M&A stuff, stablecoins, the Hyperliquid drama. There's a whole bunch of stuff, but I would just be curious to get your take from DAS.
Yeah. Look, I mean, at this point, I've been to a lot of DAS conferences, London. I was in New York. I've done a few. It's always interesting because you get the institutional crowd. I tweeted before. I mean, I just think this cycle, you're in this interesting state where institutions are more excited than crypto natives. And you definitely saw it in the room. I mean, shit, even, President of the United States did a stream, didn't he?
He did.
Like, wild. So, I mean, could you have imagined that? Could you have imagined the prior administration going on in DAS and like,
I mean, that was one of the crazier moments of my life, actually. It's like, and the whole story of how that came to be was just ridiculous. But yeah, that was, and even, I mean, I think you were there days one and two, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I was there days 1 and 2. Days 1 were a bunch of meetings, like a lot of large funds were there.
Any like good meetings, interesting takeaways? Like, would love to hear.
Well, yeah, I mean, what I'm doing in Inversion. So I met with a lot of the people that are participating in the round were there, and it was just good to catch up with the people. A bunch of people that I'm hiring were there as well. So it was just really good, but very well represented that I was spending time in the speaker room and, people that I guess you never thought would be involved in crypto 4 years ago were in the room. Where are they going to speak? Where are they going to participate in panels? It was very, very interesting. And also, a lot of people that continue to build, like folks like Stani that have been around for ages, and just those people are like rarer and rarer to find these days, I think.
Yeah.
But it was a treat. And then obviously day 2, it was sort of, I had the opportunity to talk a little bit more what we were doing at Inversion. And then we had a live panel with the Scale founder and Stani. And I felt that conversation, we could have taken it far more and gone much deeper. But
the conversation really hit a wall at one point, which is when you started to shit on people who sponsor conferences at a conference.
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't mean it like that, but
I'm kidding.
It was
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No, it was good to have you there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we did. Mike, I won't go into too many DAS recaps because there's a bunch of news this week, and Mike and I did ours. But actually, there's a tweet related to this about like institutions being really excited. It was Eric Balkunis. There's just a big survey by, I think it was, who's BBH? Is that Brevin Howard?
Brevin Howard. Brevin Howard Holdings Digital?
BBH.
No, not Brevin Howard. No, it's BHD, Brevin Howard Digital is what I was thinking.
Let's see, BBA. Oh, Brown Brothers Harriman, probably.
Oh, Brown Brothers Harriman, yeah.
All right,
is this a large custodian?
Yeah, Eric Balkunis, 95% of investors surveyed by BBH said they plan to increase their allocations to ETFs this year. That's up from 78% last year. I'm old enough to remember when it was below 50%. And then actually the next one is 71% said they aim to increase their allocation to crypto ETFs in the next 12 months. That's higher than I would have thought. I would have guessed 40 to 50%, and I'm pretty bullish on this space, relatively speaking. So, I mean, those two stats, it's like...
You know what I would love if these folks are listening, because you always see surveys. If someone could just extrapolate and like plot survey to actual allocations, like because a lot
Pre
of
and
times, like,
post, you're saying?
yeah, pre and post.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're getting started with ETFs and crypto, but you see all these survey sentiments that JP Morgan does and all the major investment banks do and research desks do. But I've never actually seen like I think JP Morgan does a recap of the year and says like, this was our survey respondents. They do it every week. They do these surveys for institutionals clients, how they're feeling about the market, allocation, what have you. And then they sort of like um, correlate that to what actually ended up happening during the year.
Yeah. All right. Before we talk crypto news, have you seen this new OpenAI model 4o?
We
The
got
image,
to see it. Yeah. It's like everywhere in the timeline.
have you used it?
No.
Have you actually like used it? Okay. It is one of the craziest product moments I've ever had in my life. If people should pull up ChatGPT, I don't know if it's for the free model too, but it's it is the most, it's probably like, I remember there are these moments in time where you have these like crazy feelings, like with products. I remember the first time I called an Uber. I remember the first time I used Uniswap. I remember the first time I got on AIM, like AOL Instant Messenger as a kid.
Yeah.
This was one of those moments for me.
You mean the first time you fell in love? Yeah, I wanted to DM a girl.
Nerve wracking. Everyone. All right. Here, look at. I'm gonna share my screen.
Oh,
I'm
I'm
gonna
just doing a prompt. Like I just pulled it up. Like what did it say? Like, hey,
here.
create a.
Look at this. Look at this. Can you see my screen right now?
Yes.
All right. This is a picture of you at DAS.
Oh, interesting.
Make this. This is the classic one that
Yeah,
everyone was doing
everyone's
this
doing that.
weekend or this week. Make this Studio Ghibli style.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
and then you wait, and I'll it takes like maybe 20 seconds, let's call it. So we can talk throughout it, but it is the most amazing, like, Blockworks has 80 some employees right now, probably 40 work in content and creative and stuff like that. The impact of this is so massive across all areas of our business. I can't even. Okay, so like let me just walk you through some of the takeaways. Like online ads, like creating an ad online is just. Oh, here it goes. Actually, before getting into the takeaways, we can look at your. Here, I'll show you this one while we wait.
I saw the one of you and
So,
yeah.
So this is our permissionless landing page. I just put in, I was like, create this in Bauhaus style. And it gave me this in
Oh,
like
wow.
20 seconds. Then I said, create
Amazing.
this in, I think it was
That's so cool.
Studio Ghibli style. And it created this. Then I said, create a vintage ad. And it gave me this. It's
Wow.
just this was another one. I was like, create an old magazine from the 70s with Blockworks research. It gave me
That's
this.
like That's like Mad Men style.
This is
That's
so
like
clean. It's so good.
Don Draper at his finest.
This one was
Oh,
awesome.
I
So
saw
Mike
that
and I
one.
posted this like kind of cheesy post, like, my partner in crime, whatever. And then I made this. And
That's cool.
I love this picture. Like, this is an awesome picture. And then the Blockworks team started creating
Nice.
pictures of us.
Oh, that's
All right,
good.
let's go back. Let's see if the image is created.
But like so when you think about like the impact of your business, like is it that like you don't have to hire as many people and you just you
I
like
think about it
for a
less in
smaller
terms of.
team?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm less interested in hiring less people. Like, I don't ever think about like, oh, we can now lay off our creative people, or we can lay off the designers, or we can hire. It's more
Like
the
Javon's
output.
was it? Yeah.
No, it's the output of a person should 10x. It's
Right.
like if you were uh if you're a designer, like the expectation around how the quality of your work and how much work you can do and the quality, it's both the quantity and the quality, just 10x this week. And it is now.
This is the classic VC term. What is it? Javon's paradox, which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
like
yeah.
an increase in efficiency actually translates into more overall consumption. It's not to say that you're just gonna do more. You're gonna have more like you're gonna just increase your throughput.
Right, right. It's yeah, exactly. Increasing the efficiency actually leads to increased consumption
In
rather than
consumption, yeah.
yeah,
Whether
rather
it's
than
you hire more people, you have more ads, you have more footprint, like you just do more.
yeah. So all right, so
Wow,
let's go
look at
back to
that.
ChatGPT. Let's see if the image is done. All right, so this is the original image of you. Look, it's just so fun. Like it's just a
Nice. Dude,
fun. And
I look like some sort of messiah there. I mean, it doesn't look just like me, but it's like yours I thought looked better. This looks weird.
like it's about the base that you start with, and I had a stronger base. So, but look, I mean,
Do
look
you-
at this. This is actually a more real example for Blockwork. So we create all these thumbnails, right? We publish like, dozens of podcast episodes a week. So I put in this white image that is just a picture of Michael Saylor and this text on Google Slides. This is how Bitcoin hits 1 million. That's all I put in. Then I prompted it with turn my Bitcoin sketch into a YouTube thumbnail, 1920 by 1080. I added another image for inspiration, but get creative with it. Optimize for virality. Add in background images for virality, but they shouldn't be cartoonish. Add laser eyes to Michael Saylor's face. Center the text. Boom. And it gave me this. This would have taken hours for a designer to make. And
Yeah.
I was able to create this. Then I said, research everything you can about what makes a viral YouTube thumbnail. Send me the summary here. It sent me the summary. I copy pasted this and said, hey, create a new thumbnail based on all of your learnings. And it gave me this one, which is even better. Like this, it's kind of a cheesy thumbnail. But
it works.
It works
The
on
engagement is
YouTube.
higher. Yeah.
This is a damn good thumbnail. And yeah, I don't know. I just think this is going to change everything. Like this changes.
So let me ask you a question. So if everyone levels, if the playing field is now so easy, right? If the paid version is not that more expensive, everyone now has access to this. The skill really is the prompting, right? And then the what you just did, people just need to have an understanding of how to work the model and what it's sort of like focus on the type of question that you ask. But so if everyone now is doing that and is hacking this, so then like your engagement, like you have like a very small gap when then it's just table stakes, right?
I get what you're getting at. This is an extension of what's been happening for the last 20 years, which this makes it easier to build a business. And I think if there's one metric that is like so important to the world, it's how many founders are there in the world who are able to build the businesses that they want to build. So if we look back throughout history, it was extremely hard to get a business off the ground, right? It's very, very, very tough. And let's maybe focus on the tech industry, for example. It's extremely tough. You had to spend hundreds of thousands on, or maybe even millions on building databases, on-prem databases, and then boom, we get SaaS. And
but before, people should know, like there were business models like pets.com and all these things that you had to buy these licenses and it was incredibly expensive. And then software as a service allowed you to buy per seat, meaning you didn't have to, like you could buy for one employee, not an entire organization. So the deployment
you used to have to come in and install stuff on
everything
at your office. And then Salesforce obviously created the SaaS industry as we know it today. So there's things like SaaS. What does SaaS do? It makes it easier for you to start a company. In one sentence,
lowers the cost.
Lowers the cost. What did cloud do? What did AWS, Azure, Alibaba Cloud, like what did these do? It makes it easier to start a company.
It turned CapEx into OpEx and also lowered the cost, and it was more flexible in the consumption pattern. Yeah. So that allowed many, many different business models that were unviable before that.
I just think about think about Blockworks. Like if we had to go build a database, we had to get like, what did we do? We just created our first website on Squarespace. Like you just like these no code. So no code was an extension of this. Like I was not a good engineer, good enough engineer to build a bunch of Blockworks stuff. We had our website on combination of Webflow and Squarespace for the first 5 years of the business. Like no code made it much easier. And now these AI tools are just making it even easier. So I think like,
you even extend that further to, certainly like AI, like the productivity gains, right? If anyone can now be a good designer, anyone can now create like really good content.
You're just checking off the boxes to make it easier to build companies. That's what you're doing.
So the question is like, where's the value then? The value is in the idea, the execution, like you still have emphasis on execution, right? But I do wonder like, so there's folks like Naval and these folks like, you're going to start seeing unicorn companies with like 1 employee, 2 employees, 5 employees.
Yeah.
Then what is that archetype? Like how will you accrue that value, how that value be created and in our moats is lower in this state of affairs, which is like, it's just way more competitive.
This episode is brought to you by Skale, the next evolution in layer 1 blockchains. With a gas-free, invisible user experience, instant finality, and robust security, Skale allows for limitless scalability and has already saved its 50 million users over $11 billion in gas fees. Skale's high throughput, zero transaction costs, and powerful Web3 infrastructure make it the ideal platform for gaming, AI, and other high-throughput apps. To explore the gas-free ecosystem, visit scale.space/ecosystem and follow their journey on X at Scale Network. That's Scale spelt with a K. Thanks to Scale for making today's episode possible. This episode is brought to you by ZKSync. In 2024, ZKSync took a step toward a multi-chain future by transforming from a single L2 into an ever-expanding network of ZK chains, the Elastic Network. To onboard the whole world into crypto, many specialized chains must be able to coexist, work together, and share liquidity. Institutions and global financial leaders choose ZKSync for unmatched security, scalable infrastructure, better onboarding, gasless transactions, and privacy-first design. Join over 20 chains, including Abstract, Sophon, and Kronos in the Elastic Network today. Behind ZKSync is the ZK Stack. It is a one-stop platform for building private blockchains on Ethereum. The stack solves all the typical privacy, regulatory, user experience, and deployment concerns of blockchain without compromising performance or security. Join the Elastic Network today at zksync.io/empire. Thanks to ZKSync for making today's episode possible. Yeah, okay. So I'm seeing a lot on Twitter right now about, and there's this, I think, prevailing idea that ideas used to be worthless and execution was all that mattered. And now I'm seeing a lot of people say, look, the idea is now all that matters when execution becomes so easy.
Yeah.
I fundamentally disagree with that. I think it's really easy, to go build these images, but the execution of a company is about how all of these millions of different parts, not just your images and your transcriptions of the podcast come together, but how your people come together and how you hire and how you go to market and your story. Like all of that actually remains the most important thing. So
Well,
I think
the thing that is getting harder is for many businesses are valuable because they're able to capture attention. Capturing people's attention is becoming harder.
yes,
And therefore you have to create good content. You have to create good you might be able to create a good thumbnail, but if the content underlying that thumbnail is not good, then you're still stuck in that state. I go back to this idea like it's a constant debate whether would you rather invest in a big market subpar team or a great team terrible market?
that 100% a great team for sure. For sure.
Because you're saying, okay, they're able to pivot.
They
They're
they
going to
expand out. You can expand them. You can expand markets and pivot. You can't pivot a team. That's my take.
Yeah, although I will say, like, I do think that timing is very important. Meaning, if you're at the right place at the right time, say DeFi summer or early crypto, like a lot, like a lot of protocols that I guess are hard to explain why they're value what they're valued are sitting still in the top 10 because they were like just early and they were able to create this community. They captured attention and they made money for people. And then, but there's better protocols, there's better tech that has come, but it's
Yeah.
still, so I don't know. Like I go through this debate where I think I I fundamentally I hear your point. Like a really good team is going to be able to like out innovate and like find a good product. But I've seen it time and time again from my perspective. I've invested in phenomenal, like super sharp, high IQ teams that just didn't make it because they were just fundamentally the way they went about the way they went about finding product market fit was not great. And I guess
But you're
they're
talking, but that's
but
a
but
different thing.
but then I guess that doesn't make them a good team then.
Yeah, I think, you're talking about high IQ and intelligence, which is overrated for building a company.
Yeah,
It's
exactly. We're
yeah,
saying two different things. Yeah.
yeah,
I guess how you qualify a great team by default is I guess it's a truism, which is a great team will always find a big market.
that's what I think. And solve a problem that really matters. And be
Yeah,
able to talk
but
to the
to be
customer and
fair,
iterate on. Yeah.
like let's just say it was Instagram in the early days. There was Shutterstock. There were so many other companies. They launched at a time where they had these simple filters, but it coincided with Facebook and social media. There's some really good like archives that have surfaced when Zuckerberg is asking one of his engineers like should they buy like three companies, and one of them is Instagram.
Mhm.
And that is like it just like highlights so much of like was Instagram the best photo editing like sharing app out there? Maybe not, but it was just at the very right time and they had someone like Facebook really feel threatened that they acquired them for $1 billion. is Bridge the best API orchestration company out there? There's 5 others, but they were at the right time, they got the right customers, and got acquired by Stripe, and then they will be king made.
Yeah, I would argue Bridge is the best stablecoin provider because
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
the
The
best.
best engineers.
They're
Yeah,
the
yeah.
best team. They're the best team,
Yeah,
and there's a
we
million of
had
these.
Zach on the pod, and he was like, he's not a big organization, but he had like really good talent.
Yeah. So anyway, I just like going. People should play. This is a crypto podcast. Not here to talk about these AI tools, but like you guys should really, really, really pay the $20. Go use this tool. It's going to change movies. It'll change how you build websites. It'll change how you create decks and slides. I I really like people at Blockworks get very frustrated with me because I care so much about good design and good slides. And
Should I post mine? I mean, I guess the recording's gonna come out, but I was thinking about like posting my slides on
yeah, you should. You should
yeah.
put your slides, even just 2 or 3 of them, into this tool and say, make this Bauhaus style, make this Studio Ghibli style,
God,
make
yeah.
this the style of a Don Draper 1960s Madman newspaper ad.
Barbarians of the
Put your slides in. It is amazing what it comes up with. So,
Wow.
anyways, I would just
Yes,
recommend people.
send me that pic.
Yeah, yeah. Um, the last thing I'd say is like there is no excuse not to be able to do something anymore. Like internally at a company, if someone tells me like I can't do anything, it's like, oh my God, the tools are right in front of you. You just don't have the like, I don't know, the agency
Cleverness,
basically to go figure it out. And no excuse not to be able to do something.
on this point, this is an anecdote that I love sharing. I think I've shared it in the pod before. So Henry Kissinger used to have this style, and anyone that worked with him is so they would imagine Henry Kissinger, Secretary of State. He had to have his handle on a million different things, and his staff members would come up to him and say, "Hey, Mr. Kissinger, here's the paper on so and so policy matter," and he would always look at the staff member and said, "Is this your best work?" Before even touching it, and the staff member would unequivocally say, "No, Mr. Kissinger, I'll come back to you," and he would come back again. He would just repeat until the 4th time. It's like he would respond, be like, "This is my best work," and it was like, "All right, then I'll read it."
Yeah. Do you want to know what the modern day version of that is?
What?
Have you put this into an AI yet?
Yeah, exactly.
Literally, someone sent me I asked someone to do research on a pricing model at Blockworks. And we're doing this new thing and I'm not going to share it publicly yet, but I was like, I need research done on like how to price this out because a new thing for me. I don't know how to price it. It was like 7 out of 10. I could ask a question, is this your best work? I could also ask a question, have you put this into OpenAI's deep research yet? Because I can tell it would be much better if you did that.
Yeah.
So anyways,
why keep that person around?
there's a 2025 is a transformational year where I actually think founders right now are way more obsessed with these AI tools than employees are. Yeah. And I think there's this idea that like you shouldn't use it for your work because it devalues your work, or it's kind of cheating if you use it for your work. And I've noticed at Blockworks, this is kind of, maybe I'm being too public because maybe people at Blockworks are going to listen to this. There's probably like 25% of people at Blockworks use these tools 30 times a day. And I can tell, man, I can tell in their output has gone up 10x. I can tell in their efficiency. I can tell in their productivity. I can tell in like the quality of their work. Then there's like 75% of the company where I'm like, I just know you're not using these things. And you would be better if you used them. It doesn't matter if you're in.
It almost reminds me of like just around the discussion. Like, you remember when it was like felt dirty to cite Wikipedia?
Yes.
And then it became like, yeah, like you should be accessing information through Wikipedia.
Yeah. Yeah. I got a C in my economics of Brazil class because I cited Wikipedia.
There you go. Stupid professor. I'm sure he's no longer there.
All right. Let's get into some of the news. IPOs and acquisitions. I think we're going to have to start making this like a normal section of the podcast because this year, finally, I think is the year of M&A in crypto. So, I mean, let me just run through some of the big announcements. First one was eToro. eToro filed to go public. If you remember, a couple years ago, eToro actually filed to go public. This was maybe 2020 or 2021 in the last like hot cycle. They filed to go public at $10 billion. They just filed to go public again at $4.5 billion. eToro, if people don't know them, they're kind of the Robinhood of crypto. They kind of sit in between like Coinbase and Robinhood, I would say, but in Europe. And the reason I say in between Coinbase and Robinhood, they're very much like the Robinhood competitor in Europe, but actually 96% of their revenue comes from crypto right now.
Yeah.
I was looking through their filing and I think I got that stat right. 96% of the revenue comes from crypto assets. But the scale and the size of eToro is actually much smaller than some of these players. Again, because they're in Europe. They're an Israeli company.
Yep.
Yoni, their founder, is amazing. He's been building eToro for like 15 years, maybe even longer, 16, 17 years. They have 3.5 million funded accounts on the platform. So
Wow.
really impressive, but much smaller when you think about compared to the scale
The
of.
1/30th of the size of Coinbase.
Yeah, Coinbase has 100 million accounts. I don't know how many are funded.
Okay, got it.
But but yeah. So anyways, but big like the IPO market is definitely loosening and
Got it.
opening back up. Like we saw outside of just crypto, like Klarna, StubHub,
Mhm.
eToro all filed. I think CoreWeave comes this week or next. Google just announced this huge deal of Wiz, which is a cloud security provider.
Mhm.
By the way, Wiz, crazy deal if people want to dig into it. They started like 4 or 5 years ago, $32 billion acquisition.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so I mean, like pre-Trump, obviously, a lot of people have been scared away by the FTC, and the IPO markets have been pretty closed. And now things have like really opened back up. So I guess later this year, things I'm paying attention to: Circle
Mhm.
IPO,
Mhm.
this eToro IPO. It'll be interesting to see a if they get out, which I think they will get out, but b what the market values them at. I think is really important.
Mhm. Yeah.
The only comp in the market is Coinbase right now for the
Yeah.
eToros and Krakens. So I was talking to some of the custodians at DAS, some of the founders of some of the custodians, and they're like, "Look, it's really tough to get public right now for us because the only comp in the market is Coinbase. We're so different than them, but like the bankers don't know how to value us because the sell side
Right.
research is so crappy." So, anyway, Circle, eToro, I think Kraken is looking like maybe
Kraken's
not.
definitely gonna do it.
Yeah, maybe not 2025, maybe early 26, but I don't
Sure.
know. They had a huge acquisition this week
Yeah.
or last week of NinjaTrader, largest
Mhm.
crypto acquisition in history,
1.23 billion?
1.5 billion.
1.5 billion.
Yeah,
Wow.
1.5 billion, largest TradFi crypto acquisition in history. Um, Chainalysis probably is a 2026.
You think? I mean,
Um,
it's
the,
gotten a pretty down round, no?
yeah, but their
Like it
revenue I think is up to like 150 million. Now,
nice.
probably a lot of that is from services, not
But
subscriptions.
that's oh, I
But
see. Non-recurring just
yeah,
but I'm sure it's contracted, no?
what's that?
With services, you mean like non-contracted services, like one time?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Mm,
Like, they might sell to the US government, "Hey, this is a $1 million recurring annual like ARR deal, but we'll add in
yeah.
another million for our team to go in there," and it's almost like
Right, yeah, yeah.
consulting. Yeah.
Consulting, yeah, yeah. Yeah, the you need a when I was at SageView, we would only be investing in enterprise software. There's something magical about having 70% most of your revenue coming from subscription, like ARR, and getting 100 million. That was the bogey. 100 million ARR, you can go public.
Yeah. So, I think some of these guys are close, like Chainalysis maybe is close. I think Galaxy could finally list in the US this year. They've been
Okay.
in Canada for a
They've been in
while.
Canada for a long time. It's always
Um,
interesting to track Galaxy in the premium or discount that they trade to book value
yeah.
as a sentiment. Yeah.
NYDIG, I think maybe could I think NYDIG I think, who owns NYDIG? It's, Stone something or another.
Mhm.
Get the name. But I think they're doing a restructuring. I think NYDIG is trying to maybe get out. Anyone else that you think could? I think Consensus will try to IPO this year.
Probably.
Anyways, so IPO markets. Gemini. I don't know how they would get out because they're smaller, but I heard they're trying to do something. So,
Interesting. Maybe a
anyways, that's
combination of Gemini. Well, it's hard to stitch these things together, but yeah.
yeah. So those are things I'm paying attention to. And then the acquisition side, we just talked about Kraken. Kraken, just 2 cents on my 2 cents on that acquisition is with the market structure bill, all these things are going to merge. Like Robinhood will add a bunch of crypto assets. They're already doing this. Coinbase and Kraken will try to add
Mhm.
equities. And I think the NinjaTrader acquisition is that for Kraken,
Yeah.
is them just
Tokenized equities, you mean?
accelerating adding equities.
Yeah. Yeah, tokenized equities is I think everyone internally is like just trying to scramble on that, and they're Robinhood. You can just
You
sense
feel
that
it.
Do you feel it's gonna come, right?
People should watch their presentation from yesterday.
Right.
That Vlad was presenting. Again, I've been buying up Hood stuff. I really like Robinhood as a
Yeah.
business. I think it'll come down to like probably Robinhood versus Coinbase. Speaking of Coinbase, Deribit deal is very interesting.
Mhm.
I'm hearing like 3 billion is the acquisition price. I don't. This is from like a
Doesn't 3 Arrows own a bunch of Deribit, and so therefore, like, all the creditors are gonna be made whole, similar to, like, FTX,
that wouldn't surprise me. That
Anthropic,
would, but
FTX,
that
like
would be even 2 billion, right? Even one and a
Yeah.
half. That would be the largest crypto acquisition in history. So that's quite interesting. Deribit owns, I think, still over 80% of the options market.
Options market, yeah. 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 Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Scale, the next evolution in layer 1 blockchains. With a gas-free, invisible user experience, instant finality, and robust security, Scale allows for limitless scalability and has already saved its 50 million users over $11 billion in gas fees. Scale's high throughput, zero transaction costs, and powerful Web3 infrastructure make it the ideal platform for gaming, AI, and other high-throughput apps. To explore the gas-free ecosystem, visit scale.space/ecosystem and follow their journey on X at Scale Network. That's Scale spelt with a K. Thanks to Scale for making today's episode possible. This episode is brought to you by ZKSync. In 2024, ZKSync took a step toward a multi-chain future by transforming from a single L2 into an ever-expanding network of ZK chains, the Elastic Network. To onboard the whole world into crypto, many specialized chains must be able to coexist, work together, and share liquidity. Institutions and global financial leaders choose ZKSync for unmatched security, scalable infrastructure, better onboarding, gasless transactions, and privacy-first design. Join over 20 chains, including Abstract, Sophon, and Kronos in the Elastic Network today. Behind ZKSync is the ZK Stack. It is a one-stop platform for building private blockchains on Ethereum. The stack solves all the typical privacy, regulatory, user experience, and deployment concerns of blockchain without compromising performance or security. Join the Elastic Network today at zksync.io/empire. Thanks to ZKSync for making today's episode possible.
Should we transition, speaking of options, perps,
Yeah, you want to talk
to
Hyperliquid?
Yeah, let's do that.
Let me give actually didn't pay too close of attention to this, but let me give my quick overview and then correct me where I'm wrong. I just took some notes on this before, so I'm gonna. Okay, so here's my layman's understanding of this. So a trader basically opened this big, I think it was a $6 million short on Hyperliquid on this token called Jelly Jelly. Jelly Jelly is actually it was just a meme coin stock or meme coin token. It was actually created by the Venmo co-founder, this guy Ikram, and then this investor called Sam Lesson, who runs Slow Ventures. His wife Jessica Lesson runs the information. Okay, so the trader took out the short position. They then deliberately pumped Jelly Jelly's on-chain, the price of Jelly Jelly, which forced their own liquidation on Hyperliquid. The short gets absorbed by Hyperliquid's vault, which is this communal risk pool backed by the HLP token that inherits positions when users fail to cover margin. So what happened is this Jelly Jelly price keeps pumping, the vault starts to bleed out, and then eventually is sitting on this loss of like, I don't know, 10 to $15 million. So then Hyperliquid goes into like damage control. They delist Jelly Jelly. They pull the chart. They basically take Jelly Jelly off the platform. They hide the vault's exposure from the public view. And I think there was then there's this other angle where Binance and OKX went into like, I think it was really Binance, because I saw the Binance co-founder like tweeting about like, all right, we got to list Jelly Jelly. Binance kind of goes into like chaos mode. They list 25x levered Jelly Jelly perps. And actually, if you remember back in January, I found this tweet from CZ, where he tweeted, hype may win short term, builders will win long term. So okay, back to the overview. Basically, then Hyperliquid kind of convenes the validator set, votes to delist Jelly Jelly perps following, I think they said, signs of suspicious market activity. And the reason this was so important was if Jelly Jelly had hit like 15 cents or 16 cents.
15.15374.
Okay, there you go. The vault would have lost their
The
entire
entire 230
$230 million
million
reserve.
vault would have been wiped.
Okay, so to kind of TLDR on this, there's this like whale trader on Hyperliquid. They put on a short position on Jelly Jelly. Jelly Jelly saw that, tried to do what they could to liquidate the short by pumping the price. They then like started tagging Binance on Twitter. Binance listed Jelly Jelly on Binance futures, knowing it would cause a pump, liquidate the whale, and cause harm to Hyperliquid. Hyperliquid delisted it, which which obviously saves them, but calls into question like, hey, if you can just change the Oracle price and close the position without really getting wrecked, like, are you really decentralized? Okay, that's my like kind of crappy explanation, but fill in the gaps.
No, I mean, I think I don't want to speculate or anything who this trader was, but the thing I'll add is so Hyperliquid pulled kind of this trump card, which is they liquidated the entire position that they absorbed, the 392 million of Jelly, which at the time was valued at like 3.72 million at 0.0095. So they actually made a profit on that of like 700K. So they forced delisted Jelly entirely, but the market price at the time, and here's the difference, the market price at the time of Jelly was 50 cents. They kind of like, arbitrarily like liquidated this position at a price that they kind of took, which was not the market price. And so that was I guess people were, grave dancing and saying, "Yo, this trade exposed everything wrong with quote unquote decentralized protocol," which is a lot of protocols, not just Hyperliquid, have gone into hot water, even money markets where there's no size limits on especially liquid positions. Even like Curve, like if there ought to be like parameters of like setting like limits on the amount of size to avoid this type of manipulation. Um, the other thing is like I'm sure we'll have Omar from Chaos Labs, like we've had him on, right? And just talking about like how Oracle pricing works on chain is still very much the biggest attack vector here. The way you calculate the price should be weighted, should be some sort of guardrails in place, because that always ends up being like the issue in a lot of these attacks on chain. That you just sort of like manipulate the Oracle. And there ought to be, even though you're waiting and like the problem is like it's a combination of like it's an illiquid asset, so you can manipulate the price, you can manipulate the Oracle, and so it just has a cascading effect on things. I don't know, like I ultimately think that the question here is, I think you covered it well. The discussion around on Twitter was, hey, listen, um, is Hyperliquid really decentralized? This is not DeFi, the whole ethos thing. At the end of the day, like, you know, did they do the right thing or not? Uh, you know, I think, I don't know. I don't know if you have a strong opinion on that. It was
No.
clearly an attack. Or people, I think like arguing around decentralization is a bit of a mute point. I mean, I think people understand
I mean, there's this.
the
Did you
way
see
the
this tweet?
protocol works.
Here. This is the tweet. Hey, hi, hey. Okay, so there's this. What's her name? Yi,
Mm-hmm.
which is she's the co-founder of Binance. Yi, please quickly launch the spot of Jelly Jelly. If Jelly Jelly is launched, Hyperliquid will probably be over. To be honest, and then someone goes, to be honest, you can really consider buying Jelly Jelly now. You don't even have to buy it. For example, Yi, take a look at Jelly Jelly. Hyperliquid may be gone. Don't use innovation as an excuse. Binance and Hyperliquid are rivals, just like FTX back then. At this moment, it is just like that moment. And the Binance co-founder responds, says, "Okay, got it." And they say, "Great, let's see what happens next." So, yeah, I mean, for anyone who thinks CZ's not running Binance right now, there's your this has got CZ written all over it, you know.
Yeah, it'll be interesting what the fallout of this is.
Yeah. Do you trade on Hyperliquid?
No, I don't have much time these days to
Yeah.
be a DJ.
Earlier in today's episode, I mentioned Ledger's latest products, the Stacks and Flex, and I wanted to take a few seconds to tell you more about them. These wallets feature the world's first secure touchscreens, which don't just simplify your digital transactions, but also keep them extremely safe. These wallets are virtually impenetrable to online attacks because they store your private key in a secure offline chip. You can manage more than 5,500 tokens and install up to 100 apps. Choose the most trusted name in hardware wallets and take control of your digital security today at ledger.com, or hit the link in the description of today's episode to check out their latest wallets. Hey everyone, Jason here. Wanted to just take a quick break and highlight everything that's been going on in the Mantle ecosystem. In just 1 year, Mantle has seen its TVL surge by over 1,100%, now reaching $1.69 billion. That's just such a crazy amount to think about. More than 225 protocols have made Mantle their home, while the platform's eco fund has invested $38.5 million in 51 pioneering projects. Through strategic partnerships with Bybit, including MNT as collateral, supporting Athena to scale, and the first Ethereum L2 to integrate Ondo Finance, they just continue to be on the bleeding edge of L2s. Be sure to stay up to date with what's going on by giving them a follow on X at 0xmantle. Special thanks to the incredible Mantle team for sponsoring today's episode. This episode is brought to you by WalletConnect, the connectivity network shaping the future of on-chain UX. From DeFi to NFTs, swaps to staking, WalletConnect is the backbone of connectivity in the on-chain economy, seamlessly bridging wallets, apps, and blockchains. With over 220 million connections and 35 million users worldwide, WalletConnect is the place to power your Web3 experience. With the launch of the WalletConnect token, the network is taking the next step, paving the way for a fully decentralized, permissionless, and community-owned future of connectivity. To learn more, follow WalletConnect on X and Telegram, or visit walletconnect.network to stay ahead of what's next. Let's talk stablecoins. 4 stablecoin launches this week, or announcements. One was FYHXX. Horrendous stablecoin name, but that's okay. From Fidelity, which so there's the Fidelity stablecoin. There's Wyoming. The great state of Wyoming announced a stablecoin. WYST. Custodia, Caitlin Long's thing, launched or announced AVIT, stablecoin, and World Liberty Fi launched or announced USD1 in partnership, I think, with crypto.com and BitGo, maybe? I might get that wrong. Definitely the most interesting one is Wyoming, right? Wyoming is it's the first US state to issue a government-backed crypto. Like this I feel like got swept under the rug, but and just not much attention. But yeah, I mean, we have a US state launching a government-backed cryptocurrency here. So just think about that statement for a second. It's going live on 7 different chains: Avalanche, Solana, Ethereum, Arbitrum, Optimism, Polygon, and Base. Layer 0 landed the deal on the interop side. And I read the press release. I'll just read one line. Governor Gordon highlighted the benefits of the stablecoin for both the state and its users. These include a statutory requirement to over-collateralize the stable token's backing with cash and U.S. Treasuries to mitigate the risk of depegging. And then this is interesting. And the deposit of interest derived from those treasuries go into the state's school foundation fund. So I think people are, there's a lot of businesses looking at Tether, seeing how much money they're printing. I think there are states looking at this too, being like, hey, yeah, we're not doing so well financially. Can we get some of that money? And goes into the school's foundation fund. There's one argument that says why would you need a state stablecoin? This is stupid. There's another that says look, I mean, this is a kind of a far out view, but move all of Wyoming's finances on chain, reduce increase transparency, reduce fraud, get some interest for the state.
Yeah.
Not too shabby.
Bridget from Founders Fund had a good blog post about just stablecoins in general and what the impact is. I mean, we don't have to cover it here, but people should just we'll link it in the show notes. It's just a good observation around how people think about stablecoins, what the actual impact is of that. The common argument we hear is obviously like it's very bullish for demand for dollars, right? If you open up access to just having digital dollars is bullish. The U.S. as a reserve status, its benefits, like so many people that want to have access to dollars, but they don't.
What?
But anyways, yeah, like how do you think about like a world where there's going to be a proliferation of stablecoins? What does
We
that
have
do for the
actually
consumer?
we have an
Like
awesome episode.
hundreds of stablecoins. Like who is is it going to be a wrapper on top of a wrapper?
No. Okay. Monday I forget if does Empire release on Monday or Tuesdays now? Oh God, we just changed it. I should know that. I think it's Tuesdays. Tuesday. We keep changing, but
Yeah.
we have an episode with Charlie Noyes, who's one of the GPs of Paradigm, and they just led this round into Mesh, which is they led an $82 million round into Mesh, which is kind of this like stablecoin settlement network, founded by this guy Bam, and Bam joined the show too, and we talked like all about this, so people should just listen to that episode. Basically, what I think will happen is there will be a proliferation of stablecoins. You could own PYUSD. The merchant might only accept USDC. Right now, you have to flip your PYUSD into USDC. That eventually will it'll all just automatically happen, I think.
Yeah.
So I think I actually think there will be hundreds of stable coins, because I think these stable coins just kind of become money market wrappers.
Yeah.
But and you just kind of sit in your money market wrappers, but then like there's something on the back end, like some API that basically just changes it into whatever the merchant accepts.
Yeah.
I also think it's a good reminder that the majority of these things are just money market wrappers, and they don't really resemble money. Like I think there are stable coins that will resemble money. USDC is obviously one. USDT. I would argue those are the only two right now that resemble money. Maybe PYUSD gets there. And actually,
PayPal.
Yeah. But most of these are just good. We'll have hundreds, just like we have hundreds of ETFs. We'll have hundreds of mutual funds, hundreds of money market wrappers.
Yeah, you're right. They're not money. They're a money market account. And the fungibility of that, it's like my observation of having invested in so many different stablecoin projects, from like Basecoin, the early days to everything. And after that is that distribution always wins. And ultimately, like you have to think about like where, if you have massive distribution, you're going to launch a stablecoin and then you're going to roll that out to your user base, and that's going to be the de facto, like PayPal, right? So integrated with all these merchants. Like PYUSD is going to be dominant. If you're JP Morgan, you're going to have probably yours. If you're a retailer, you're going to have yours, and then you're going to roll that out to your user base, and you're maybe going to offer incentives and some other capacity to you're just in a way better position. So as I think about how this is going to evolve, I think we talked about in a prior episode, like what is the composition? Like if you were to fast, like right now it's like what, 3/4 of the market cap, like market share of stablecoins is Tether, and that's been fairly stable. Circle has, the second largest, but that share is marginally coming down. I think this is one of our predictions, like for the year, is that probably is the one that is at most risk here. Within the US, right? Because if you have all these different retailers, they're going to launch around.
Yeah. Actually, I missed this in prep, but the full draft of the Stable Act was just released.
Oh, really?
And again, I think people think this is going to get through this year.
Much sooner than
most people think it'll be in August. I'm pretty sure from conversations at DAS that it'll be like
sooner than that.
May. I don't know, like next 45 days.
I've heard like next couple of months, not like later this year.
Yeah. So I think it's a Q2 thing. Let me just I actually haven't read it, but I will pull up Nick Cannon from Gauntlet's overview. Okay. Full draft of the Stable Act of 2025 was released yesterday. Thread with a few takeaways. 1, no yield-bearing stables. So that's very important, right? Because no yield-bearing stables. I think if you look at a lot of the new stable coins that have been funded, they are actually yield-bearing stables. So who's this bullish for? USDC and Tether, right? Yeah. USDC and Tether. Banks, credit unions, and approved non-banks can issue. That's big. That means we're just going to see a proliferation of these stable coins. Every fintech, credit union, small bank, local bank, big bank is now thinking about issuing a stablecoin. 3, must have 1-to-1 reserves of cash, T-bills with a maturity of 93 days or less, or other highly liquid safe assets. That makes a lot of sense. Interop standards may be required. That's interesting. Again, we called out that Layer 0 won the Wyoming deal. Will be interested. It feels like there's this like battle right now between actually Chainlink, Wormhole, and Layer 0. And will be very interesting to see who starts winning those deals. States can certify their own stablecoin regimes, but they must meet or exceed federal standards. No algo stables for 2 years. During the 2-year period beginning on the date of the enactment of this act, it shall be unlawful to issue an endogenously collateralized stablecoin not in existence on the date of enactment on this act. Okay, that's interesting. And then a 2-year resignation grace period.
Can we look at the comments?
Yeah. Comments are, this basically turns stablecoins into digital cash with none of the upside. Feels like a step backwards. Someone goes, I like the distinction. Payment stablecoins, algo stablecoins.
Yeah.
This can be summarized as the what's good for Tether.
I mean,
Stablecoin Act will kill a lot of stablecoin projects. This is from Jin. Here's who will win, according to this person, Jin. Traditional banking institutions emerge as clear winners. It's going to kill a lot of stablecoin projects. Big win for Tether. I think there's Gabe Shapiro, the USDC USDT model is now enshrined in regulations. Yield, this is probably the best take. Yield paying stablecoins will be securities and don't qualify.
Yeah.
Stables backed by exotic or volatile assets don't qualify. And if neither one of those can be marketed as payment stablecoins. Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier. There's going to be like payment stablecoins, then just like money market funds. From a policy POV, they want these things backed by treasuries. They want to prioritize safety.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like,
Honestly, makes a lot of
sense. To win. Makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense. Obviously, Figure is the only one that's like got approval right a couple weeks back for their interest. Like, it's a security. They filed an S1. They got it's a yield bearing stablecoin.
Yeah. GameStop adding Bitcoin as a reserve treasury asset.
Massive amount of engagement, by the way.
Company had cash and cash equivalents of 4.7 billion at the end of Q4. Let me just read the press release. GameStop announces proposed private offering of 1.3 billion of convertible senior notes. Very similar to like a MetaPlanet, MicroStrategy, Soul Strategy. So I got dinner with Sailor after DAS on Thursday night. And I was like, do you really believe like this stuff? Like, he gave me the 30-minute pitch for why Blockworks should become like move on to the Bitcoin standard. Like we should, like everything we're doing, basically in his mind, everything we're doing, useless. All this activity, not as productive as just buying Bitcoin. I was like, damn, you really believe that? He's like, yeah. So as I think it's funny, man. Like, I think,
yeah. Too much.
I like Quinn's. Quinn had a good tweet. With such highly regarded and well-known capital allocators like GameStop, North Korea, Bhutan, El Salvador, and MicroStrategy adopting Bitcoin balance sheets, I'm surprised there isn't a mad rush of more countries and companies racing to do the same.
Oh, the Bitcoin strategic reserve. So they're technically not buying, but they're absorbing it. So
yeah.
Not much else. I mean, I don't know if there's anything else to cover.
No, I think that's it. We just released the industry's most comprehensive dashboard on Pump.Fun and PumpSwap. So PumpSwap is the new AMM by Pump.Fun. It's really good data. Most of the data providers haven't even indexed Pump.Fun or PumpSwap data. And we've been sprinting, like working 7 days a week to do this. So if anyone cares about this kind of data, Blockworks Research now has it. You can just see a lot of it for free. It's on the Blockworks Research Twitter page. So just go there. And we're still hiring for a senior producer. So if people want to work with Santi and me, join us.
Yeah, that is true. I was gonna say I'm hiring too.
Let's go. What roles are you hiring for?
Principal or VP role of like private equity. Someone that can own a deal beginning to end, and an associate below him. Head of product and head of engineering.
Nice. Nice.
And there's other roles like community and design, maybe design not so much now that we can do this with ChatGPT. But
No, you need
those
good
are like
design.
I've had a lot of really interesting. I mean, the pipeline is really interesting, and yeah, really strong candidates coming through the pipe.
Nice.
Not like outside of crypto.
Nice. Nice.
Companies that have built consumer-facing applications that are like now dabbling in crypto, like the Robin and Struts of the world.
Nice.
Yeah.
Last but not least, permissionless speakers are live. So I can't believe
Nice.
we're shilling another event already. But
Another.
in 90 days, we have permissionless. So
That's
the
in
way
New
that I
York,
think
right?
about this is DAS is for the people who invest in the protocols. Permissionless is for the people who build the protocols. So we have really, really good lineup already. We've got, Hayden from Uniswap. We've got Sri Ram. We got Sam from Frax, Ed Felton from Arbitrum, Togrel. We got Alex, who's the founder of WorldCoin.
Yeah.
Stani, John Charb, Wei Dai from 1KX. We got Andre talking about Sonic, Zahn from Initia, Mert, Jordy Alexander, Cosmani. We got Smokey. We got Guy from Athena, Brian Pellegrino, Layer Zero, Keone from Monad, Jesse from Base, Kane from Infinex. It's a stacked lineup. So I guess we have our call for speakers is live. If you are an investor, we don't want you to apply to speak. We're looking for technical founders, engineers, product managers.
Is this going to be what type of format? Debate, not debate, panel?
There'll be a lot of debates. The debates went really well at DAS, so we're just going to keep doubling down on these debates. A lot more individual talks that are shorter, I would say, too.
Yeah.
Like I thought your talk at DAS was good. Dan Smith had a talk. Melton had a talk. These talks are really nice if people actually prepare for them. And I think less panels, just because.
Yeah. Panels just feels, I'm very much bullish. Debate, controversial debates, and presentation.
Yeah. So if you're technical, hit us up.
Very cool. That's in New York.
That's in New York, June 24th through 26th in Brooklyn. Big warehouse vibes. We got like 8 warehouses. It's going to be a crazy event. So we'll do June 24th through 26th in Brooklyn, and then I think we'll all head out to ETHCC.
Oh, right. It's in.
It's like the first week of July in
Cannes.
The South of France.
These are France. That's good. Nice.
Let's go.
That's great.
Cool. All right. I think that's it. That's the pod.
Well, that's the pod, guys. Well, thanks so much for listening, guys. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.